Good morning, guys. Hope you're having an amazing day. It is Ping here. For once in the longest time ever, it is actually sunny and not raining here in Singapore, so that sounds like an amazing day to go out and get some food. Today's going to be an interesting day. We're going to go to a local neighborhood known as Tiong Bahru. It's a really nice old neighborhood with tons of street art, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and find some of the best food there is. So there's a huge hawker center in Tiong Bahru. We're gonna go hit up that place, but we're also gonna come to some of the other areas in the region that have some really delicious, unique foods that I don't think you can find as well done as in other parts of the country. I'm really excited because Tiong Bahru has some of my favorite foods that you can find in the entire island. So let's go explore Tiong Bahru. To get here to Tiong Bahru, what you need to do is get on the metro, and you get off at the station called Tiong Bahru, which is on the east-west line. It's on the green line, but it's quite relatively in the central area, a little bit west of the entire like Marina Bay Sands area. But once you get here, you get into these like old residential neighborhoods. Just a 5-minute walk from the station gets you out of the local mall, and that takes you to the area where all the delicious food is at. This area is generally a really nice, peaceful area. The buildings, as you can see, are pretty old. They're not like the ultra modern apartments that you can probably see in the background like those. These are a little bit lower. These were built a much longer time ago. The population here tends to be a little bit more elderly, so it's a little bit more quiet. We've just come to this little park here. This park is one of many that you'll find in the Tiong Bahru area, but it's just really quiet, just really peaceful in general. That's the general vibe that this part of Tiong Bahru can give off. The first stop we've come to in this food tour of Tiong Bahru is known as Tiong Bahru Yong Tau Foo. It's been around since the 80s, so if that gives you an idea of how old this place is, it's amazing. Dishes, either dry soup or with like a spicy laksa broth. My favorite usually is the dry, which means they separate the noodles from the broth itself. But first, I just have to go in and try the broth. It's a very clear broth that you can tell is just covered in spring onion, shallots, and of course a whole bowl of tofu. But let's try this out. Oh yeah, that's like classic, comforting, warm soup that fills your soul. It's not really that flavorful. It's actually really clear. It's really light, but it's just a really good, comforting soup. Especially on like, if it's a rainy day, that will be the perfect soup. Now what I've got to go in for are these noodles. These noodles are bihun, which are known as like the white, like vermicelli noodles. And what they do is they cover it in 2 separate red chili sauces, which you can tell, and they top it off with spring onions. So what you have to do is you have to mix it around yourself. And then once it's sufficiently mixed, you'll see that the noodles turn from like a white color to like a reddish, orangish color. And once it gets to that color, you know it is ready to eat. So let's go ahead and try this out. What I love about the noodles is they really bring the heat. It really brings in like the spiciness. You can taste the flavor of the chili, but the darker chili sauce has a really nice, sweeter flavor to it. So it's like a sweet and spicy combination. You can tell that there are real chilies in the chili sauce. Of course, they add some spring onions, but really, really well done. Next, we're going to try the tofu. Now, there's a variety of tofu, and they also have fish balls. But we're going to try this really thick, droopy one. It's really long, but what I'm suggesting is that it's supposed to be like sucking up all the soup. So once you bite it, it's supposed to be like a cushion. So what you do is you take one, you dip it in the chili sauce that they have, and then you try it out. That's like biting into a pillow filled with that soup juice. It just explodes in your mouth. And what's great is that chili sauce is the same chili sauce that they have with the noodles. So those two mixes, so you've got the sweet and you've got the spicy. So the tofu itself is relatively bland because it's just with that soup flavor, which is relatively stable, relatively boring. But once you put in the chilies, you taste the spiciness, you taste the flavor of the chilies, and you taste the sweetness. Next, we're gonna go try the fish balls, which are these like little bouncy little balls made from fish meat. Same thing, we're gonna dip it in the chili sauce. And then let's try this out. Super bouncy. Once again, chili sauce, same thing. It's got a sweetness that I can't identify. It's just really, really sweeter than I expected. Maybe I just got a bit of the darker chili sauce this time, but really, really good complementing sauce for the rather boring tofu. But I'm telling you, the sauce really brings in the flavor. It brings in the heat. If you want the noodles in the broth, you can do that. If you want the broth to be spicy, you can do that. So there are so many combinations, so many variations you can take. I really love this type of Yong Tau Fu. This classic joint has been around for almost 30 years now. So they definitely know what they've been doing. And many celebrities have come to this place and tried it out. So this is a must try when you're in this part of Singapore. That meal right there, 5 Singaporean dollars. I mean, that is ridiculously cheap. And for what you get, it's absolutely worth it. That stall is one of my favorite stalls to have Yong Tau Fu. A true tradition here in Tiong Bahru, a legend and establishment. When you come here, you absolutely cannot miss it. All right, let's go ahead to our next stop for even more food. We've come to the next stop for this food tour. It's a place known as Chiang's Porridge. It's been around since 1971. So that's around 50 years. So this was created like right at the start of Singapore's independence. Now this is what we have, a bowl of porridge here. Now I asked her what was the most famous ones and she said it was the pork balls one. So as you can tell, there's just a lot of meatballs in here and there's a lot of porridge. And I also ordered an egg. So this big yellow egg yolk, which I cannot wait to break into. But first, I'm just gonna try the porridge by itself with some of the green onion and the soy sauce. Oh, that soy sauce just adds a bit of saltiness, but the porridge is just so thick. It's so filling. Like, I'm definitely gonna be full after eating this entire bowl of porridge, but it's really comforting. It's something that I would like to eat on a cold, rainy day. Unfortunately, today is not that day, but still a great bowl of porridge. Now, what I'm gonna try is the meatballs, which is what they're supposed to be famous for. She was telling me that they make the balls in-house. So these are supposed to be some really, really good meatballs. Let's try them out. Man, the meatball, they put a little bit of that salted veg inside the marinade of the meatball. So it's a bit of like a crunch and a bit of saltiness when you bite into the meatballs. Really, really good meatballs. Man, that might be the best part of this entire porridge. You can tell that there's so much seasoning. I mean, it's salty, it's crispy from a little bit of the salted vegetables. It's got that umami, meaty flavor. I mean, when you mix it together with the porridge, that's just fantastic. Now for the most exciting part, the egg yolk. I just have to break that apart. That just like exploded. Yellow gooiness just exploding everywhere. And because the porridge is so hot, it sort of like cooks the egg a little bit after you break the egg yolk. But now with the egg and the ball, let's try the whole thing out. Oh, I'm so excited. The egg yolk is perfect. It adds that like creaminess that you need to the like salted meatballs and the really thick porridge. You have that creaminess that just adds a new texture, a new flavor, that eggy flavor that you don't really have prior to breaking the egg, of course, but oh, you really, that egg is like, that egg and the meatballs are the best part, because without it, it would just be a normal bowl of just white porridge. When you put in the salty meatballs and you put in the creamy egg yolk, that just explodes in your mouth. The egg yolk is an absolute must. You are skipping out if you come here and don't get the egg yolk. So I highly recommend the meatballs, highly recommend the egg yolks. This is just some of the best porridge I've ever had. We're gonna finish this up and then we're going to go to our next stop. Our next stop here is Tiong Bahru Market. This is a huge market in Tiong Bahru, one of the biggest, in fact, in Singapore. The first floor is mostly just fruits, vegetables, meats, all your basic items, but upstairs is the hawker center. That's where all the food is at, so that's where we're gonna go to. We are now inside the market and we've just gotten our first dish for the market. This is called Prawn Noodles, also known here as like Hokkien fried noodles, and it has this really famous store. It has like a Michelin guide stamp on it, so it's really, really famous. The line was ridiculous, and just for reference, it's like 2:30 in the afternoon and there was a line of at least like 5 people in front of me. Who eats this at 2:30 in the afternoon? I have no clue. But when we get the noodles, what we need to do first is we need to squeeze the lime on top of it, so it gives it a little bit of like a citrus flavor. After we're done squeezing the lime, what we need to do is mix it in with the chili. So we get the chili sauce, which they put on one side of the plate, and then we just mix it all together so that everything is all mixed in with the juice, with the chili sauce, and then just give this a try. Oh yeah. What's famous about this type of noodle is that they're legendary for being extremely, extremely slippery. So it's supposed to just slide right down your throat and you can taste that. You can taste the chili, you can taste the citrus, which helps to cut down on that fat because there's a lot of oil and fat in here. This is probably one of the most unhealthiest meals that you can have here, but it is just so delicious. Let's try out these tiny little prawns they have here, see if they're fresh. Oh yeah, really fresh. This is really, really good plate of noodles. The chili helps to give it a bit of like a kick, a bit of like a spiciness, mixed in with the tanginess of the juice. It's just overall just a really delicious dish. Like I said, the best part of course is just the texture. It literally just falls off right off your chopsticks because it's just covered in a layer of oil. It's so oily, so greasy, so unhealthy, but so worth it because this is just one of the most famous things you can try here at Tiong Bahru Hawker Center. Next food we've gotten here at the market is a dish known as Jui Kueh, which is roughly translates to water cake. Now what actually is Jui Kueh? It's really simple. All she does is she takes out these like little cups of rice flour that have been steamed into this like cushion. Then once she takes it out, she'll top it off with some fermented radish, put a dollop of chili on the side, and then you have Jui Kueh. Now the way to eat it is you're supposed to put some chili, put it on top of the rice cakes, and then get some of that fermented radish and eat it together. So let's try this out. What I love about this dish is that it combines so many flavors and textures. The first one is that you have the bounciness of the rice flour cake. It's like a starchy, bouncy sort of texture. Then you have the really cooked down fermented radish, which brings in a lot of saltiness, and with the chili brings in a lot of spiciness. So the cakes itself are very bland, but when you put the radish and you put the chili, it adds flavor and it brings that saltiness, that spiciness that own rice cake wouldn't have. This dish is the most famous dish that you could come for in Tiong Bahru. This is like the most classic dish. When people think of Tiong Bahru and food, this is what they think of. You can't really get this anywhere else, or at least as good as it is the one here. But this shop specifically sells some of the best streetwear in all of Singapore, and it's one of the most famous. This is the stall that you just cannot miss when you're here in Tiong Bahru. The saltiness of the radish, the spiciness of the chili sauce, and the whole thing, just for 5 of these cakes, is only $2.50 Singaporean dollars. So that, for such a cheap price for so much food, that's amazing. And the great thing about the store is that it's open all day. So I've come here for breakfast, you can definitely come here for lunch, and you can come here for dinner. And it's currently 3:30 in the afternoon, and that line was at least 10 people long. So there's a long line with these little rice cakes. They may look small, but I guarantee you they pack a punch. They pack spiciness, saltiness, all the flavors you could imagine. One of the things Tiong Bahru is most famous for are the murals, like the one right behind me. You can find them all over this local neighborhood, but they depict scenes from back in the day, what this region used to look like, what life was in Singapore in the 60s and the 50s. So it's a very good way to both appreciate art and understand the history of this country. But for now, we've had a lot of savory food today. We're gonna go get some sweet stuff. Let's go get some desserts. We just went to Galilee Bakery. It's one of the most famous bakeries in Tiong Bahru, specializing in cakes and kuehs, and we've got this one. It's called a durian puff. Now, for all of those people out there who don't like durian, you can skip on, but for those who love durian, when you enter the bakery, you can just smell how strong the durian is, and this looks exceptional. I mean, you can see there's a coating of like dusted sugar on top, but it just looks so puffy. We gotta give this a try. You can definitely feel that they put real durian in it. You can see the shreds of durian inside. The pastry on the outside is really fluffy, just like a cream puff should be. But man, the inside, that durian flavor, it's sweet, but it's not too sweet because you know that there's actual fruit that they put inside. You can see the fibers of the durian as you bite in. Oh, this is a really, really good durian puff. It doesn't explode like I would like it to, but still, really, really good job. Really well done. Love the pastry, love the custard. Really, really good. Next up, we've got a classic Singaporean dessert called onde onde. It's literally just balls of like flour, like glutinous rice flour, and inside they have coconut, but it's covered also outside in these white coconut shreds. As I'm holding it, it's literally melting in my hands, so I've got to give this a try. As usual, the onde onde, you've got the crispy outside coconut layer, you've got the glutinous rice flour, but inside, that inside juiciness just explodes when you bite in. It's like a gula melaka sweet coconut flavor inside. This is like a classic tropical, like really tropical dessert. So much coconut flavor. If you love coconut, this is the dessert for you. I mean, outside there's coconut, inside there's coconut. They should just call this a coconut ball. at this point, but it is so good. Despite this is one of my favorite desserts in Singapore, and they cover it in this like syrup, so it's really sticky, really sweet. But oh, this is so good. One of my favorite desserts from this bakery right here. Okay, so the next stop we went to is Leung Sang Hong Kong Pastries, famous for their egg tarts. As you can see, golden egg in the middle, little fluffy pastries on the outside. Let's try this out. That custard is just so soft, it just melts in your mouth. The outside, the pastry is a little bit hard to bite through. It's not as fluffy, but the inside, that custard, oh my god. It's like a flan almost, it just melts in your mouth. This is one of the best egg tarts, I think, when it comes to the inside, the egg custard of the tart. The tart isn't really that great, but man, I'm telling you, that egg custard is amazing. And the thing is, they keep it warm in this oven, so when you get it, it's really warm, really nice. A nice afternoon snack or dessert for any occasion. Honestly, you can have this any time of the day. I just feel like now is a pretty good time to have one. Alright guys, so I want to talk about this Tiong Bahru food tour. What's unique about this area is that it's such a small little neighborhood, but concentrated in that neighborhood is so much amazing food. From the Yong Tau Fu we had today to the delicious Chui Guis. There's just so many unique foods here in Tiong Bahru. It's things that you could find elsewhere, but it's just not as good as it is here. Overall, I love Tiong Bahru. This is an area I go to all the time. It has really delicious food, and I hope that you guys enjoyed all the food I showcased in this video. Obviously, there's so many more things that you can try at Tiong Bahru. Some of the places I wanted to show were closed today. So if you get the chance, definitely come here and try some of the other things. Just walk around, you'll find so many wall art pieces, and you'll just have so many places that you can try and eat at. Anyways, that's going to be all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more food and travel videos. I will see you guys on the next video. Bye guys.